Hello, my name is Crystal Hill from Hill House Publishing, and today I am so excited to introduce you to another one of our amazing authors from Corporate to Calling. Nakli is based in Switzerland and he is an awakening coach, and you'll discover that he has quite a unique position in this book and how he shows up and answers his calling. Welcome, Nakli.
Thank you, Crystal. Great to be here.
I'm curious. Let's start with how you answered the calling of coming into Corporate to Calling, into this book. What was it that kind of sparked your interest that made you say yes to that?
Yeah, it's an interesting story actually, because in the last few months I've been meeting different people that I feel that we have the same passion or the same intention. And during one of my conversation, I heard about this project, and it immediately seemed and felt aligned with who I am becoming. So I think I reached out to you, and we had a first conversation that just made my feeling more clear that it's something really interesting, and maybe I should try and be part of it.
Yes, so tell us a little bit about the work that you are doing now that makes a book like this so much in alignment.
So I think what we are witnessing recently is a shift in corporate world. We've seen many big organizations transforming, doing global reorganization, and being part of the corporate, I see this impact on the employees within. And at the same time, I see and I understand that there should be different way of leading these changes, to make sure that we are not um, damaging our own employees through this transition, and allowing them to find their path, to find their purpose, and to pick up their next chapter. Many employees who are losing their jobs for any type of reasons, in a way, are dealing with identity crisis. The title that they held for so long became part of who they are. And with every conversation that I have with someone, when I ask them, "Who are you?" they start telling me what they do for a living. And I need to remind them that there is a person, there is an intention, there is a dreams before that. So my coaching and what I'm trying to do now is try to remind them of who they are, because the sooner they remember, the faster they can find and start a new journey.
Yes. Now that brings me to a very interesting question. Who
Mm.
are you?
So, I mean, I usually start saying that I'm a spiritual being going through a human experience.
Yes.
And as a human, I see myself in my core essence a teacher. I am someone that enjoys learning, gaining knowledge, but I enjoy more passing this knowledge to others who might find it useful. And when I identified this theme in my own self, it actually aligned with what I do in corporate as a consultant, as a compliance. It also aligned with me being a coach for individuals. So for me, this is another thing that I try to help others find out within. Because once you find that, the title becomes less important. And you find yourself in different areas of life or different titles, different jobs, as long as you're aligned with who you truly are.
Hmm. And so I remember we've been speaking about this role as a teacher, which in a way is a role, is a doing as well, but it does carry an essence. And you've briefly just hinted right now that you hold that role in corporate and you hold that role in your coaching private clients. And I just want to make it really clear, and we haven't really touched on the other things that you're doing. You're a coach, you're also a breathwork facilitator and a Kundalini yoga teacher. Is
Mhm.
that's right, right?
Yeah,
And so
yes.
yeah, I would love to let's talk about that because they're all different ways in which you are a teacher in different environments with different modalities, right?
Yes, indeed. And through my own transformation, I also had coaches. And breathwork and Kundalini yoga are two other principles that, in a way, helped everyone to connect with their inner self. So, in my coaching or in my methodology, I combine elements from these three practices to allow people or give them more tools to connect with who they are, try to understand themselves. And Kundalini yoga is all about the self-discovery journey is the way that you experience and understand your life. My teacher used to say that practicing yoga tests you in three areas. It tests your strength, your endurance, and your flexibility. So every posture that you do is actually an example of a real life situation. And then this is where the learning starts. Why am I not strong enough here? Why am I not flexible enough here? So it forces you to look within to understand your limitation and then to find how can you release that, how can you improve. So I really enjoyed combining these elements through my own journey, and I think it's also valuable to share it with others, and this is what I'm trying to do.
Yes. You're a real bridge in that way, aren't you? You're bridging the calling with the corporate. You're bringing your calling into the corporate. You're helping people inside of corporate find their calling. And you're also bridging cultures. And there was another thing, you're bridging the East and the West. And you
Mhm.
talk about that in your chapter. So let's talk a little bit about what gift you are giving the reader through your chapter and what you're sharing with us in your chapter.
Yes, I think my life story, being a minority, although at the beginning it had a lot of struggles, but later in life it made a lot of sense. Being in the margin of society, being a minority in almost every environment I was in, allowed me to always look for what is in common and try to find a way to bridge between two sides or three sides or even more. And I happen to be a left-handed, so it's another type of minority. Later, I realized that left-handed people are more connected with their feminine side. So again, being a man with more feminine energy or more connected to the feminine energy, I felt that there's also a gender gap that I feel comfortable in connecting with both sides. So I felt that if this is in a way some calling of me to be the link between two areas, two conflicts, two parties, to whatever you want to call it, because I feel so comfortable and natural in understanding the different sides and try to bring them together into a common ground.
Yeah, the perfect diplomat.
In a way,
Oh,
yeah.
yes, yes, yes. Interesting that, yeah, I find it so fascinating, right, that you ended up in Switzerland, which is the neutral place that doesn't take sides, that can connect with everyone, and there you are. That is, in many respects, something that you deeply hold within yourself, now reflected back to you in the country that you are in.
Definitely. And at the beginning, I really asked myself, why did I end up in Switzerland? I didn't really aim for it. I didn't actively pursue that. But what Switzerland also gave me, it gave me isolation that I so needed. Moving in Switzerland, it's a very peaceful, as you mentioned, neutral environment, but it also allows you to focus on yourself and to be in your own journey. And through that journey, I was able to discover who I truly are. So I'm grateful also for this move and for what it allowed me to find.
What was it like for you to reflect on your life and find a way to distill everything that you have experienced into one chapter?
It was really insightful and very unique journey because it allowed me also to see things that I didn't see before or I didn't notice before. And it's just amazing how it feels that when we look at our life into different perspective, how everything seems to be perfectly aligned and exactly what it should be. And going or living through that period, it doesn't always seems fun or enjoyable. But I think one of the things that I learned is to trust my challenges, to understand that probably there's a higher wisdom behind it that I will discover later. So I became more patient, more present, and more willing to take whatever the presence challenged me to, because I trust that it's all in the same plan, all in the same direction, and eventually it will make sense.
Yes, that's so true. What is one thing that one intention that you hope the reader, that you have for the reader, one intention that you hold for them reading your chapter?
So I feel, and maybe my main intention is to share my story as an example. I know that different people might be in a similar situation, and I wanted to show one example of how I dealt with it and what was my own conclusion and journey. If part of it resonate with them, if it triggers some new thoughts and new feelings, trigger a change, for me that's a great thing. Because what I try to encourage people is not to allow fear to control your situation, but to be open to change and to try to know that you do have the power to change your reality or to attract different reality that you are currently facing. And through my story, I shared, different transformation that I had in my body, in my mind, in my soul, and I tried to cover different areas. And I'm sure that it might resonate with many of the readers.
Yes. Yeah, it definitely resonated with me. And there's the power of our personal stories is that it holds universal themes that we can all
Mm,
relate to and connect with. And therefore it's deeply resonating and enriching our own perspective of our own lives as we're reading somebody else's story. So
yeah.
yeah, that's a beautiful intention to hold. Now, for somebody who's dissatisfied, and this is my last question to you, who's
Mhm.
dissatisfied, feeling a little bit out of alignment, feeling maybe stuck in their role in their job, what's a starting point for them that you would recommend?
So first of all, to acknowledge that if you have this feeling, it means that you're probably not aligned with who you are. It means that there should be some kind of a change. And I think the best advice I can give someone who are in this situation is to try to take a moment and reflect on their own journey. Ask yourself, what is it? What is it that you wish for? Or what is it that you would ask for if you know that the answer is yes? And sometimes we limit ourselves with our own head. We don't even dare to think about it. There's different techniques that get this information out of us to allow us to speak it and just to have a clear idea where do we want to be, and not to accept the limitation or the challenges that we have as destiny, as it's out of our control. We do have the power. We do have the power. We have the tools. We just need to start marching forward and to be open to change.
Very well said. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm really curious to see what the responses will be like to your chapter and to our whole book. It launches on November the 21st. Thank you so much for listening to the call and for hearing it and really sharing all of your wisdom in this book. Thank you so much, Nakli.
Thank you, Crystal. It was a pleasure.